Hey guys, welcome back. It's Billy Holmes, Holmes Hot Rod and Cycles. As you see, we're in front of my 24 Lowrider. Last episode, we will replace the air cleaner with the S&S Cycle, more traditional chrome teardrop. Today, we're back here replacing the 2-to-2 exhaust with a 2-to-1 exhaust from Bassani. We decided to go chrome with a little nod to the 80s FXRT. So y'all stay tuned. We're going to show you how to do that right now. All right, first, we have to remove this saddlebag. If you don't have saddlebag, you ain't got to worry about it. But this is a clamshell type bag. It has a lever in here that you pull out and twist, and it unlocks it. Then just a quick little pull to the back. Well, maybe. There we go. All right, next up, we're going to remove this cover. We need to get to the rear O2 sensor. You can take it off from the pipe, but you're going to twist the wires. If you take this cover off here, you can actually unplug it from the motorcycle itself. You got two Allen head screws. They are a 5/32. With no Loctite or sealer from the factory. This should just, there you go. Got one little grommet here and two bolts. We'll go ahead and wash that, clean it up while it's off. You can see in here that the O2 sensor back this way runs up underneath, and right behind the rear exhaust pipe, there is a little plug. So we'll get in here and we'll pull that out. It's got a clip. If you can get your fat hand in there. There it is. You can see here. Just has a little tab that you got to push in. Now that that's done, we can go ahead and reach up underneath the front and pull off the front O2 sensor plug. It's going to be actually up underneath the engine, and it's right over here close to the brake cylinder. Go ahead and get down. I'm not going to be able to show you that, but it's pretty simple. If you put your head underneath there, you can see it. If not, you can trace the wire down. And it's mounted right there on the frame. Hardest part is just getting a fat hand in there. There it is. And pull it up underneath. And you can see it here. Okay, so our next step, like I said, is to remove the footrest bracket. You have two bolts here. They're Allen, of course, and they are 5/16. And then we're going to go ahead and remove this bolt here. That is the brake linkage, in order for it to fall down completely out of the way. These are going to be a little stiff, just because these should, one, have pretty decent torque, but two, they also should have Loctite on them as well. Now these have been removed and put back with the installation of the crash bar from Bun King. As you see here, the bracket actually slips behind it. So we've already done that, and we did put Loctite back on it. We got a little bit of a, there we go. And while that is still holding it on, we're going to switch to this one and take this guy off. It is a 3/16, so we can get that linkage out. Just so we can control so this thing doesn't slam down on the ground. I don't want to take this one off last. Whoop, there we go. Almost did it. And like I said, we'll take this off. That way you can hold it. And there we go. There's 2 bolts, like I said. Here you go. You can see a little bit of Loctite there. And then you have this 1 bolt here that actually threads into this piece. So 3, you can get it out of your way. You can clean it up. Once it's off, you can get where you can't really normally reach. Put that over on the side. Okay, so now that's completely out of the way so the exhaust can drop out and down when we're ready. So now we're going to go ahead and remove the flanges up at the top and then start working down here on the exhaust bracket. That's right here by the back tire. All right, for these exhaust flanges up here, I'm not going to be able to show y'all with a video on exactly how to get to them, but there's 2 right there. You can see on the bottom left and on the top right, and then there's 2 on this side as well. I'm just going to have to get it. My fat hands are going to be in the way and everything else, but what I like to do is get a 1/4 inch drive with a little short socket there, and then one of these guys. It'll help you, especially on the front. You can't get the right angle. This little swivel right here will help do that. So I like to get a 1/4 inch drive with an extension, and you should be able to get those off. I'm going to go ahead and put the camera back. You're not going to be able to see me take it off exactly. I just can't get the camera in there while I do it, but that's the way it is. 2 bolts, 1 top left, or top right, sorry, and 1 bottom left. All right, let's get to it. You can do this on a stand. It's a lot easier, but you can also do it on the ground. This bike doesn't have a whole lot of miles on it, so hopefully they come off a lot easier. And they've never been taken off, so nobody has messed the threads or anything like that up. Hardest part is getting it off without dropping the nut where you can't get to it. But it broke off easy. That's why I like this 1/4 inch. It's a little bit smaller, and then the swivel as well helps it. So the hardest part's just not dropping the nut. Which there's one there. It's got a little shoulder on it. We bought new ones just in case with the gaskets, so they shouldn't be a big deal. If you want, you can remove the heat shields on these stock exhaust in case you don't believe in yourself not to scratch them or ding them up or anything like that. You can tape them up. You can remove them completely. Ours are already used and got boot marks and little scratches from rocks and things like that on there, so I'm not worried about it. Okay, there's the back one. Again, so that's two. So this right here is loose. Just want to make sure that the flange is broke loose. Sometimes it'll get stuck in there, and then when you go to remove the exhaust pipe, it'll bind up. We're going to go ahead and move to the front one. The front one is the fun one. The front one is, it's got one tricky one that you can get to if you use the swivel. I want to try to do this without getting in y'all's way. Y'all should be able to see this one is the easy one. This one, I don't even think you need a swivel, but we'll save the worst for last. Sometimes the corner of the heat shield will actually grab the lip of the socket. And so that's what was happening here. So sometimes you have to push the heat shield in to get it off the back of the socket so the socket can come back out. But there's that one. Easy enough. Now the fun one. A lot of people, they take this little bracket off here. It's rubber mounted, so you can take off the top bolt and you can pull this away and slide this way. I don't know if we're going to need to do that. Sometimes you can get under here with the swivel. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to do that with the crash bar or not. So we're going to have to take a look at it and see what we can do. And the swivel part also, it helps you, but it makes it harder because it's hard to line up the socket while it's flapping around. So we're going to see if this works. If not, we're going to have to take this off. All right, we got to it. At least got it broke off. Keeping it between the frame and the exhaust. Making sure not to ding a whole lot of stuff up. It just slipped off, but we did break it loose. Got to get it back on there. Now putting that nut back on is going to be a chore. I don't know if I can reach up from behind and get that off or not. And then I'll be solely impressed if I can get this nut off without dropping it. Nope, but I think I heard it hit the ground, so we're good. Okay, so now that flange is loose, and this flange is loose, just so those aren't going to bind up on us. Get them worked to the back a little bit, and they should be coming off. Now the only thing is replacing, or is taking off this bracket down here that holds it to the body. All right, so we're going to go ahead and remove this bottom pipe. I took these two off already. These are just little Allen bolts. Look like that. Super easy. Those come off. And then we're going to take this bottom clamp here off, or at least loose. Once you get it loose enough, then you can twist that bottom pipe off. Just want to get it loose enough where you can tell it's not clamping anything anymore. You don't have to take it completely off. But that should be it. Now, If I had a ball end, that would have came off. I don't want to go any further and see if I strip that or anything like that. So that kind of sucks. Just a little bit too big here. If I had a ball end, that would come off, but no big deal. We'll take this bottom pipe off. I'm trying not to take the top one off, just because people that know this bike know that these two up here, they're kind of at a weird angle and they're kind of tricky and all that stuff. So now you just get this, spin it, and at the same time pulling back just a little bit, and it'll slowly come off. I don't want to go too much and scratch anything, so there we go. All right, now we should be able to get to this bolt fairly easy. There. Okay, so I left this bottom one in here, if you remember, because that'll be, to me, the easiest one to take out so I can hold the exhaust. If you got two hands, or two extra hands, it does have sealant on it. If you have two extra hands, it would probably be a lot easier, but it's just me, so exhaust ain't that heavy anyways. All right, so now should come out. Be careful with the fins of the engine. The only thing that's going to be holding it are the flanges. And there we go. It's out. All right, so first I'm going to, this is the new bracket. These bolt to the frame, these bolt to the exhaust, and this will be the bag mount that we'll need to take off of the old exhaust. We're going to put this back on here using the same two bolts. This goes like that. You got to tuck this wire just a little bit, but it'll sit just like that, if you can see that. So we're going to put some Loctite on these bolts. This bottom one in. Make sure you don't pinch any wires. Okay. Basically reverse the method of taking it off. We're still not going to tighten these down all the way. Just need a little bit of play in it, just in case the exhaust doesn't want to line up perfect. So as long as you can wiggle it just a little bit, you should be fine. There you go. We're going to leave that like that. Just temporarily until we get the, I want to do that before you put the exhaust pipe on. Hard to do the next steps with that off. Okay, the next step is we have to remove these flanges. They also have like a little clip here. You can see the clip. We've bought new clips we're going to go ahead and replace, but we do need to get these flanges off. To get that off, you have to take this giant C-clip, take this clip off, spread it out, and then these will slide off. This is also the bag bracket I need to take off. We can do that later. So we're going to go ahead and remove these, both of those, and put them on the new pipe. If you have a tool, the dealer has a tool, it's basically like a reverse set of pliers. You put in here and you spread it out. We don't have that tool, so we're gonna have to come up with something, but once we get these out, we'll switch them over to the new one, and then we'll replace these. thinking, since I'm not using these, I can bend them enough to get out. They're not real hard on there. Yeah, there you go. All right, flanges off. Easy enough. You don't want to distort them, but since we're not using these, there you go. Flange is off. Now we're going to go ahead and remove the O2 sensors. Unscrew them here, put a little bit of anti-seize on them, and put them on the new pipes. You want to check to make sure your wires and stuff aren't burnt. When I first got this bike, the back one was angled kind of funny. The wire was, and it was pretty close to the exhaust. So just make sure your wires and stuff aren't burnt. If they are, replace it or protect it if it hasn't damaged it any. Okay, so I'm back. I have a wrench. This one's a 17 millimeter. Fits pretty good on there. So we're gonna see if we can break those loose. It should come out pretty easy. This one did. Just be careful not to mess the tip up. We're gonna get this other one. There we go. So that's good. That wasn't seized on there. That's awesome. There's the other one. These, if I remember right, these are the same. You can put them on front and back on these new ones. If I recall, some of the other ones, they have different connectors where you can only put this connector on the front one, this one on the back one, so you don't get them messed up. These, from what I recall, these can go front or back. They're pretty much the same. So, but we're still going to keep them separated. So this is the front one. This one's the back one. We're going to get this old exhaust out of here. We're going to pull that one bag mount, and then we'll put the new exhaust down on here and start switching everything over. All right, so we went ahead and switched out the exhaust. We have the 2-into-1 here. We're going to go ahead and put these flanges, make sure that they're not cracked or anything's real bad. You want to put the groove where this new C-clip here fits. You want to put that towards the engine where it's going to go. This one's good to go too. We're going to put that there. And we're going to get these C-clips around here. Hopefully we can get it on fairly easy. Like I said, if you got the right tool, it makes it easier, but I got strong hands. There we go. Make sure that's not bound up and it's free to move. There's the other one. So those are on. Throw the old ones in the trash. Now we're going to get some anti-seize. We're going to put the O2s back in. Doesn't take a lot. And make sure you don't get anything on the end of it. Just a little bit. And when I say a little bit, we all know that it's going to go everywhere. There we go. Not really working on your own stuff if you don't get covered in anti-seize. You don't want to bind these wires up. I don't know if we got something hung up in it. Not wanting to thread in. Do not force this. Your life will be miserable. Hopefully the the bung itself on this exhaust isn't messed up. So I'm going to go real slow. It's not cross-threaded. I just don't know if it... There you go. Okay, it had just a little booger on it. Just put these hand tight, just like they were when they came off. There. Again, this is a used system, used pipe, so I'm hoping all is well. Okay. And look at that, I got anti-seize on my shorts. Now we're working. All right, so the pipe itself is good to go. Put the new C-clips, put the new flanges on, put the O2 sensors in, and that's pretty much it until we bolt the back of it to the bracket. So now we're going to replace the muffler gaskets. These guys here. These are new. I'm going to pull the old ones out. We're just going to use like a little pick and then put these in. These have a fatter side. They're coned, so they fit around like that. So the fatter side, the wider side, goes into the engine, and the cone part faces out for this exhaust to slide in and butt up. I got a closer look. This is where the gasket sits. I pulled it out. You can see here, I just grabbed it with a pick. Be careful not to scratch the actual wall in there, but it sits like this. I grabbed the pick, pulled it out, it came right out. I'm not saying you couldn't reuse these. These look fine. Like I said, my engine only has 7,500 miles or something like that on it, but I went ahead and replaced them when I'm replacing exhaust, just so if the one exhaust has kind of a weird shape here, the profile, I guess you would say, the second exhaust may not have that profile, and that's just a leak waiting to happen. So go ahead and replace them every time. There's one more up here. This is the fun one to get to, of course. Getting them out's easy, putting them in is a little bit harder, but that's what it does. It just slides in there flush with it. We'll clean this out, make sure that there's nothing in here to get sucked back in, and then we'll put the new one in. Okay, we did get the gasket in the front and in the back. There is a little bit of a lip in here that the gasket needs to push back to evenly and seat. Once it is seated, you'll be able to run your finger around the very outside here, and there should be enough room for that C-clip to almost fit up into. So this needs, don't let it be, if you can push it back further, push it back further. Don't let it flush or sticking out too far. If you can get it all the way backed in into this little lip, that's where you need to be. Just get it in even. Don't push it on one side and bend the other. If you get it in perfect, you can kind of wiggle it around all the way around the edge slowly, like putting on an O-ring, and it'll slide in there. All right, so now we're going to put the exhaust on now that we got the gaskets seated in. Make sure those are good to go. Okay, Now that the exhaust pipe is on, we need to put the 2 bolts back here to grab the back of the pipe, and then the 1 bolt here for the bag mount, and that should be it. Hook up our O2 sensors back, and then we'll start putting stuff back together. Of course, we're going to put Loctite on these here. These are the 2 bolts that bolt the bracket to the actual pipe. Even though these have lock washers on them, just getting a good habit of putting Loctite on everything. Okay, now that those are in, tighten those up, which are, I believe, 1/2 inch. Tighten the actual bracket to the frame, since we left it loose earlier for everything to line up. There. And then, now that we don't have room, that's what I was fearing, I'm going to have to get one of these by themselves and then get a wrench on it and be able to tighten it that way, because I'm not going to be able to get that in there. Okay, so we got the muffler bracket on. This here, I'll show you what I did. I actually had to, because you couldn't get the socket back there, I actually have these little guys, and this is basically a 5/16. It's cut short. I was able to put that in there and then get a wrench on it and tighten it that way. So I was able to get that top one. The bottom one you can get from underneath with the socket just like this. The top one, if I would have known beforehand that the muffler would have been in the way on that, I would have went ahead and tightened it to the frame, but I like it a little loose, so when I put the exhaust on, these bolts go in fine. I like to tighten everything, or start everything before I tighten it. Next is this. This guy has 2 holes there, so it fits in, sits just like that, and then the bolt goes in from the back side. As you can see, it's got Loctite on it. We're going to tighten that, and then we should be ready to put the O2 sensors back on, the cover, and the bag. We'll do that off camera. Pretty self-explanatory there, and we'll see you all in a minute. All right, so the last step is putting the footrest back on, putting some Loctite on the big bolts. I'm going to go ahead and just start these so I can stop holding them. And then before I put it all the way on, I'm going to put the smaller bolt in, because a lot of times if you tighten this up, it'll lift up and get in the way of the bolt. So I'm going to go ahead and put this smaller bracket bolt on, of course with Loctite. Once that's on there, you can tighten that one down. So now you can go back and tighten the bigger ones. You'll see what I'm talking about. If you can see over my fat head, once you start tightening these up, it'll actually raise up. And sometimes it'll be in the way. can see here, unless you have a ball end, you're not going to be able to get to that once this is tightened all the way. All right, guys, and we're done with the exhaust install. We got the saddlebag back on, we got the bracket tightened down, and everything's good to go. Pretty easy thing to do. The hardest part was, especially when you're by yourself, is just lining up the head pipes with the gaskets and then getting those flanges started. That's, of course, on the front's going to be harder with the limited space you got, but it went on. We dropped the nuts a couple of times, had to kind of finagle it here and there, but it got on. Everything else, the foot pegs and the brackets and the brake bracket was super easy. The exhaust bracket on the back was easy. Everything went just fine. Like I said, it's just a little bit harder sometimes to get to those 4 nuts on the flanges on the head pipes. But I'm really digging it. It looks good. It is a used pipe, so there is a little bit of discolorization here. But, you know, it's going to get that the more miles that you drive. So everything looks great. I got it for a fraction of the price that you can get a new one. It really opens the back wheel and tire up. Now you can actually see it. The 2-to-2 exhaust, I never saw my brakes. It was completely like a wall. I was never able to get back there and wash it, clean it off, nothing. Now you can see the whole entire wheel, the whole brake. It just really opens up the bike, makes it look a little bit sporty. I like the 2-to-2, don't get me wrong. It's a good looking exhaust system, especially with the smaller bag here. It fits it, but the 2-to-1, it looks good as well. I mean, it really opens things up, and I'm glad I chose the chrome. It really brightens up, in my opinion, it brightens up the paint and all the little accents here and there. But I appreciate it, guys. If y'all like this video, like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.